roles in marriage. In marriage.
Marriage is what
See,
brings us together today.
See what we did there? We switched up our roles by switching seats.
Only if you are watching can you see it.
That's true. That's true.
But we switched everything. Microphones. We just swapped. We switched our roles.
Live your life within the moment. And don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away.
So roles in marriage. That's what we're talking about. Roles in marriage.
Yes. This is a topic to hopefully start a conversation with you guys about the roles that you have in your marriage. Do you like them? If you don't like them, you can change them. There is freedom in that. And so we want to bring freedom to this. This was something pretty early on in our marriage that I would say more for the way that roles in marriage are traditionally really do favor the man. Wouldn't you say?
I don't know. Depends on what your idea of fairness is.
Yeah, I would say traditionally they favor the man, like the 1950s housewife, like vacuuming in her pearls. The man comes home from a day of work and she has a hot meal prepared on the table.
Well, what about caveman days where there's hunters and gatherers? Like the men would go out and hunt the wild animals, sometimes bigger than that person. They have to do it with people and out on the road all day long looking for that one animal to kill to bring back to the families, maybe with people, maybe without.
While the cave woman was at home with the wild animals that lived in her house that were hungry, asking her a million questions, I'm sure. So we're not talking about
schooling them on how to write cave pictures.
Okay, let's just be honest. It definitely favors the man. Unless you really enjoy baths and nighttime feedings and changing diapers and answering a million questions and schooling your children and doing laundry and dishes and
so we're saying traditional roles favor the man is what you're saying.
Yes, I'm
traditionally
saying
speaking.
roles, yeah.
Now there are some countries out there that still kind of, go into that. It's also an individual person's ideas of servitude to that other person, right?
Yes, but we're talking about roles in marriage in 2023 and having freedom.
Yes.
In that. So, all right. New age, new era.
Things have changed.
And
as we all know,
if you have been married for a little while and you're like, I actually don't like the role that I have in marriage, guess what? It's your marriage. You can change it. You have freedom. So this is kind of the way that we broached it. Our story in this is we were living in Alaska. We had 3 kids and we really had 4 kids because we had Katie, but we had Katie part-time and then we had 3 kids, 3 and under. And I was exhausted and depressed and overwhelmed. And I remember just one day telling Aaron, I don't think I like being a mom. I'm not cut out for this. This just isn't my thing. And he was like, okay, well,
why?
Why is that? What don't you like about being a mom? And his very calm and open way of handling these type of situations. And so I made a laundry list of things I didn't like doing, including the laundry. And I was like, that just the endless laundry and the dishes and the cooking and the changing the diapers. And I feel like I don't even know who I am. And he's like, well, those are all chores. Nobody likes chores. I was like, oh.
There might be some people that like chores. Most people don't like chores. Most people don't like them.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, and he's like, that's not what being a mom is. So let's change that. And we changed that. So now, flash forward.
So now, flash forward a host of years later,
Yeah.
we've kind of like evolved our roles,
Mhm.
and they're always changing.
They look
a
different
little
in
bit.
different times.
Different
for
places
us.
that we've lived, different eras and times that we're going through things. Just differences make a big change. We moved a lot, and those lived in a lot of places, and those have caused and forced us to have to change our roles. But one thing that is like a high recommend is creating a list of all of those chores, or even just a list of the chores as well as the things that you like to do and needs to get done, the mundane, if you will.
Yeah. So doing two different lists is what we did was we kind of wrote down all the things that need to at this stage of our life need to happen. So if you have kids at home, if you have school age kids at home, right, your life kind of is going to revolve around their schooling and that schedule. And so right now in our life, we have kids that we need to actually bathe, and then kids that can bathe themselves.
Thankfully.
Thankfully, we have kids that have after school activities, homework, those types of things. So we make out a list of everything that needs to get done, and you don't have to like actually write out this list or type it up on your phone or your laptop. That's helpful.
I mean, it helps because it gives you an idea of how many things on a daily basis that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And maybe some of those things are not thought about on a frequent basis, but like on your date coffees or whatever, you guys can create your list and get an idea of the things that she thinks or the things that he thinks are important, or at least needs to be done on a daily basis, or even just like not necessarily daily, but weekly. Like we need to take the trash out, or, to the curb, that is, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. And then this is, I would say the fun part is you could then pick, you guys can take turns picking, like your draft pick of going, I got dishes, or I got homework, or I got the after school activity pickups, whatever. And you just kind of trade off based on maybe what you're in the mood for that week or that month or that season. And also for it to align with what your responsibilities already are as a couple, as a person. So we've gone through times where Aaron was deployed for a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year at a time, or trainings.
There's no roles there. You're doing everything.
Then it's just you wear all hats as the military spouse. But when he's around more, especially like right now, this is our new season where he's around a lot more, and we're doing this podcast together. I'm also still growing other businesses. He does have work that he can do, which is nice, from home, but we're just more around. And so it's equal. I think that's another good thing to say is you're equals.
Yeah, you're absolutely, as you touched on in the last video, you're a team. You're two coaches steering this team to victory, right? And you are equal. There's not like a head coach and assistant coach. It's two equal coaches that are trying to achieve life together and achieve the things that you want to do and the things that you don't want to do. We don't recommend creating that list, and that's like, final, you put up on the wall and frame it and golden bars it and everything, and that's the way it is for the rest of time.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah, you need some fluidity there where like, hey, it's Christmas season and I really don't want to be doing dishes during Christmas season. So I'm going to choose.
That's why you have
nothing.
children.
Yeah. Well, that is why you have children.
And if you haven't started having children, maybe you should start pushing them out, start practicing, pushing them out.
All right. So create the list, right?
Yeah. So create your list, your two different
draft
lists.
Order them down. And there's bound to be things that neither of you guys really want to do. Like, I don't want to do that. And you don't want to do that.
So then what do you do?
So there's compromises like, all right, well, I'll do this. I'll do that this time.
Okay.
and then next time you will have to do it. So like that chore has now been divvied up, and it's fair and equitable, where one person's doing the bad stuff, maybe changing the dirty diapers or the, scrubbing the bottom of the fridge. I don't know, whatever it is that.
Oh, gross.
Well, there you go. See, you don't want to do that.
don't.
But then the next time that chores need to be switched around for the new season or whatever, you mix it up, and that person is now the primary person for that.
And not just chores, but like just those responsibilities, those roles, those things that's like the buck stops here with this, or I got this, like tag me in, coach, like I got this part. Because a lot of the chores you can divvy up with your kids, and depending on where you're at in your careers, financial season, like that was one of the first things when I started working, growing my business, that was a priority to me. I was like, I spend so much time cleaning the house because I am kind of OCD and I really like it to be clean. And I just like having that
Just a little bit.
clean environment. It's so helpful.
It is super helpful because then things last longer.
Yes.
You can, when you have a lot of kids like we do, having a clean environment allows you to know what things are missing and whose or what.
And you can enjoy.
You don't buy 6 of the same thing because you know whose stuff goes to
That's
where.
right.
Like, and it's also teaching the kids to take responsibility for their stuff. And that's why we say chores, but it's not spousal chores. It's kind of family chores. Now there's things that the spouses as in me and you, not just your spouse,
Right.
that the married couple has to take care of, with that the kids can't, right? And those things are the ones that we're talking about divvying up and creating that list. But there are those things that your children, as they grow and get more mature and more responsible, that they can start doing those. And we have chores for all the way down to our youngest. He has a few chores, like nothing crazy or
Age appropriate.
Yeah. Chores.
But like I was saying, getting to a place of maybe there's some things you're like, I can divvy that out. I can outsource that to somebody else. It's not something that is worth, because time is the greatest currency. We all have the same amount of time. But maybe you want to spend those 4 hours a week that you would be cleaning your house. You could outsource that, pay for someone else to come in and to clean your home. And that could be your monthly allocated time for your coffee dates, date night, whatever. So this is also something that if you're an adult, this is your marriage, you get to decide, these are things that I want to do, that I like to do, that I'm willing to do. And then these are things that like I absolutely hate. Maybe you're someone like, I had a friend, she absolutely hated doing laundry. And so she had a laundry service, and it came once a week, and they would take away the dirty laundry and they would bring back, and they have those laundry services like at pretty much everywhere.
Pretty much every city, I'm sure, has them.
And they will bring it back, and it's very reasonable. Like you don't even have to have a washer and a dryer.
And listen, I think we can all resoundingly say this would be amazing to not ever have any chores. And if you are financially able to, outsource and create some jobs on the outside for other people, by all means do it. But not everybody is cash influxed as certain people. So certain things you're going to have to roll your sleeves up and handle the nitty gritty. But at the same time, if it's one of those things where I just can't do it, then look into, like she's saying, like an outsourced kind of a thing, another company or a person or just, I don't know, a kid or somebody that can handle that for you, because that'll help with your mental status at the point in time too.
Yeah. And that's actually another good suggestion would be, maybe you have a teenager that wants to make some extra money, and you could say, you get laundry, honey, and we'll pay you $40 a week. That would be great for that kid. And whoo, wouldn't that be great for you?
But I know there are some people out there that are like, chores? Kids don't need to get paid to do jobs. They are living under my house.
But those are extra things.
They are.
That's
They
like
are.
above and beyond. I do believe kids can do their own laundry, and our older kids, I would say 10 and up, do their own laundry. And they also will do a younger sibling's laundry. So like Ariana will do Bella's laundry and Patrick will do Paxton's laundry. Typically, it's not going to all get done perfectly, but that does free us up quite a bit.
And then involve those. Involve those little ones, I guess 9 and under, since you use the example of 10, but you involve those in putting their own laundry away, hanging them up on the closet hangers if you can, or putting them in the appropriate drawer of the dresser and taking ownership for their own thing. And that's just teaching them young. So,
and if you like those traditional roles, we're not here to diss on that or anything, because that's awesome. That's working for you and you enjoy that and you get life from that. Then keep doing that. This is for people that are like, I don't like the roles that we have in our marriage. And it's not really anyone's fault. It's just you haven't talked about that, communicated that, and you haven't brought freedom into your marriage and into the roles within the relationship of your marriage.
And the overarching thing of this is not getting into a rut where you're loathing waking up in the morning and you just want to stay in bed because you have this long list of things to do because you're not getting help from your spouse. It is a team, like we've said before on many different occasions. So use that teamwork mentality to get the job done. It's always easier to have more help than no help.
Yes.
With anything.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
So there's a lot of freedom with making these lists. Do the list however it works for your family. If it, like she's saying, if you have that role already identified, then by all means, like, carry on as long as everybody's happy, but communicate with your partner and your spouse to make sure that they're comfortable and okay with it. I know there's a lot of times where the one spouse or the other doesn't have any idea about any money situation in their family.
Yeah, that's not good.
Or maybe they have separate bank accounts where they're paying different bills at different times and only one person's making all of the payment. I don't know. That doesn't work in our marriage and we've never done that. We've always partnered on all of that, but I know there has been I firsthand knowledge from previous stuff in life with people I've spoken to and everything that have had that that role of she takes care of the bills and I bring the money home. Like, she pays them, I bring the money home. Well, if that works for you, that works for you. But I think having a joint mentality with that is big.
Communication.
Because what happens, unfortunately, or in the unforeseen circumstance where that other spouse dies and now you're in charge of making the money and now paying the bills, or you separate or something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
You need to know how to do those things, and you need to get an idea of balancing a checkbook
or that spouse deploys.
Yeah.
You need to know, the number for the plumber and how to pay the car payment.
And my first deployment, internet and speaking over the phone was extremely difficult. And I'm sure certain people have certain jobs in the military where they can't talk to their spouse for a long period of time. The last few deployments I've been on, I've been able to speak and have video conversations with her and my kids and stuff. So things have been able to help. So I can help with homework over the Skype or FaceTime or whatever.
I don't like helping with homework. It's not my thing.
So
I will do it, but this guy's really good at it.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He's just like a teacher at heart. And so that's also like that, knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses. Don't use this as a thing of being like, well, you know what, you really should grow in this area because you just don't like scrubbing dishes. So I think you should just be on dishes until you have a heart change and then you like scrubbing dishes. Like this, you're not parenting each other. You are two whole people that are choosing to come together as a team and say, all right, I'm good at this, you're good at this. How do we make this work? And maybe you eat on paper plates, you know?
Being good at something doesn't mean you like doing it either.
That's
right?
true.
So
That's
you could be
true.
really good at scrubbing those dishes, but you just might not like it because
Yeah.
you might be, I don't know, a clean freak, OCD, I don't know, whatever. Whereas just that's your mojo. You know how to clean a dish really well, but it's just something that, seeds inside of you that just festers and you hate. But I'm not using that as an example for us. I know she's laughing. I don't know why, but
Because we don't really do dishes anymore.
well, we do dishes.
We do
Well,
some.
we have kids that do dishes.
We have kids
as
that
part
is
of their
their
chore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. So again, this is all a big pitch on how to have more kids.
All right. So some ideas of what we do. I can probably say that 8 times out of 10, I'm making coffee for her in the morning on school days.
Yeah.
Not because of anything, but because of just timing and how things work out and who gets out of bed first and whatever, but not even that. That's kind of probably the wrong way to say that, who gets out of bed first. It's just whoever is able to. I'm typically first down in the morning before and kind of getting with the kids to make sure. Sometimes she is, it just depends. But
usually you're making the coffee.
One of the things that I'm always doing is making the coffee, especially on school mornings. And then, I mean, even just taking the kids to school in the morning, it's neither of us wants to wake up and do that.
So we both do it.
So we both do it. Suffer in unison rather than one person only suffering.
And that kind of piggybacks on our last episode where we talked about doing things together. So keeping marriage fun.
The mundane things
And
together.
those would be the mundane things. There's going to be things neither of you want to do, but it has to get done. So then just make a concerted effort to do that together as much as is possible, as much as your schedule allows it.
And try to make it as fun as you can.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, and then we've said it a couple of times already, but just being fluid with your lists and being able to make the adjustments on the fly or even just, seasonal, rotational, whatever. I know our kids' chores, we rotate those every week. They switch from one kid to another, so they're not just stuck doing one chore only for a long period of time. It's a lot of fluidity with it to where they can do multiple different things and get and learn responsibilities with all of that.
Yeah. So keep it fluid, keep it relevant to what's going on in your life right now, and understanding that those seasons are going to change. You will, even if right now you're like, I will never get out of this season of 2 a.m. feedings, 5 a.m. feedings, changing those diapers.
That's a whole nother subject with
really
babies and mix
and
breastfeeding and all that.
All of that. And you're going to need to extend grace to your spouse. Especially he's like been forced to be really good at that where we've had a lot of kids. And I mean, like, early on, I may or may not have smacked him in his sleep so that he would wake up, because I'm like, dude, you do not hear this baby crying? This has just been crying all night.
Pro tip, if you don't like changing diapers, just deploy for a little while.
This is true.
No diapers to change.
You do other things, but you won't change diapers. So I think also having this thankful heart and being grateful for each other and the roles that you guys are willing to take on and do. And again, if this wasn't modeled to you, or more traditional roles typically for our generation were modeled to us from our parents. So you're kind of pioneers in this as you're pioneering this new world of maybe he stays home with the kids and you're the one that's the breadwinner, or maybe you both are, entrepreneurs and doing something, and then you both have other jobs on the side. So whatever your season is and your story is, that's the role that you get to play and you get to pick the part. And here's a secret. You get to be the heroes of your story because no one else gets to do that. So those are our tips with roles in marriage.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, there's just a lot that is an individual makeup, like we've said it culturally, how you were raised, what your interests are, what you have a sense of responsibility to do, being a servant-hearted, or just there's a lot of things that play a role into it. So make it your own, make it fluid. If you need to put it in stone and hang it on the wall, then do that. But
Embossed.
as long as like the communication lines are open, if you're unhappy, speak. You can't expect the other person to guess that you're
or
unhappy
read your mind.
or know that you're unhappy. Well, I mean, they can know it if you're throwing dishes or something at them, I suppose, or if the ducks are facing the opposite direction from
That's
our
right.
last one.
Those ducks.
But yeah.
then you can now give them a little heads up.
Yep.
But yeah,
So
communicate.
If there's anything that you guys have questions about, or not
Yeah.
that we would necessarily know the answer to per se, but if there's anything that we've said that you guys need explanation on, let us know.
Yeah. And also comment below if you have roles that you like in your marriage. Or maybe after listening to this, maybe there's some things you're going to change. And so let us know what that is, because we would love to hear that. We want this to be a partnership with you, that we feel honored that we're able to step in to your life and your marriage and the sanctity of that marriage, and to be able to just give some insights and hopefully provide some wisdom from experience. But like we've said before, we're not the experts.
Not at all.
We're not doctors, we're not clinicians. We don't know all the things, but we want this to be something to help you and to help your marriage, to make it strong and healthy and fun and sexy and all the things that we want. So,
All right. Well, thanks for listening. And that is Better With You. And this was a topic on roles in marriage, if you didn't know that. But just stay
is that what
tuned.
it was?
Stay tuned for the next one. I think we'll be talking, I know we'll be talking about he said, she said isms, or things of the like. You have to stay tuned to find that out.
That's what she said.
Oh,
Ba-bum.
Ba-dum.
We actually have that, don't we? No,
nope.
not that one. Oh, man. All right.
Take care. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.
Stay tuned next week. Bye.
So let us dance this night away.